Welcome to our safety training. OSHA, Occupational Safety Health Administration. GMP, Good Manufacturing Practices.
Health and safety training. BJ's Temp Service is committed to providing a safe and healthy work environment for all employees. All employees, customers, and temporary workers must work together as a team to ensure a safe environment for all. Each person has a responsibility to ensure safety in our workplace and for our employees, customers, and visitors. Covered information: ladder safety, slip, trips and falls, safe lifting, electrical safety, ergonomics, pallet jack, hoisting and forklift, hygiene, bloodborne pathogens, COVID-19, harassment policy, benefits of effective health and safety plans, reduce work-related injuries and illnesses, improve morale and productivity, better labor management relations, higher quality products, safe work environment.
What is a work-related injury? It is presumed for injuries and illnesses resulting from events or exposures occurring in the work environment. What is the work environment? OSHA defines as the establishment in other locations where one or more employees are working or are present as a condition of their employment. Reporting a work-related injury or illness. It is the responsibility of employees to notify their manager and the BJ's on-site coordinator or the BJ service office to complete an injury report for each safety and health infraction that occurs by employees or that employees witnesses. Failure to report such an infraction may result in employee disciplinary action, including termination. Each employee should sign a safety statement during new employee orientation. Failure to follow BJ Service Company safety and health procedures or conduct that places the employee, volunteer, client, or agency property at risk may lead to employee disciplinary action or termination. Reporting workplace injuries. BJ's Temp Service is committed to making the workplace a safe and healthy environment, to preventing on-the-job accidents, and to the treatment, care, and rehabilitation of employees injured on the job, in accordance with state workers' compensation laws. Every employee has the responsibility to prevent accidents and injuries by observing established working rules, by following the directions of supervisors, by practicing the principles taught in safety training, and by providing ideas on how our safety efforts might be further strengthened. Both BJ's Temp Service, our clients, and its employees have the responsibility to comply with all client, federal, and state regulations related to safety and health programs. Workers' compensation. Any employee who suffers an accidental injury arising out of and in the course of employment, or who contracts an occupational disease within the meaning of the Workers' Compensation Act is entitled to medical attention at the expense of BJ Service Company. If applicable, the injured employee is also entitled to disability compensation, including a weekly compensation benefit for time lost from work. For additional information, contact BJ's Temp Service, your BJ's on-site, or the Human Resources Department at 508-999-2610, extension 190, or email workerscomp@bjstempservice.com. All work-related injuries or illnesses must be reported immediately, or as soon as possible, to the employee supervisor, department head by the employee, and Human Resources or BJ's Temp Service. A delay in reporting job injuries or illnesses might result in the loss of benefits. If you're unable to immediately report an incident to Human Resources, please call Human Resources as soon as possible. If the injury is not emergent in nature, the employee should immediately notify their supervisor and Human Resources, BJ's on-site, or BJ's Temp Service. If the injury requires treatment in an emergency room, the supervisor should report the injury to Human Resources as soon as possible. Requirements for all employees. All employees should know and observe all safety rules applicable to their work environment. Workstations, offices, and work locations should be clean and orderly with no trip hazards created by rocks, cords, or other debris. Immediately clean up or contact custodial staff in the event of a liquid spill. All containers of chemical and other potential hazardous substances must be labeled properly. Be familiar with all fire, emergency, and security policies. Be familiar with warning signs of potential violence for employees, visitors, and coworkers. Contact custodial staff to clean up any spill of blood or other bodily fluids. Only use approved ladders and stools. Do not stand on chairs or tables. Contact facility management in the event a heavy piece of office furniture must be moved. Dress appropriately and utilize proper footwear. Follow guidelines for proper ladder usage. Get help with any heavy object. Report any work accident immediately regardless of severity. Hazard Communication Program. BJ Service Company complies with the OSHA Hazard Communication Standard, Title 29, Code of Federal Regulations 1910-1200. Our Hazard Communication Program has been developed to enhance our employees' health and safety and to safeguard all employees affected by the dangers of all hazard chemicals used by BJ Service Company. All employees are required to attend our health and safety orientation prior to starting their job. Under the OSHA Hazard Communication Standard, employees have the responsibility to ensure their own safety and safety of others. Employees should be aware of the hazard chemicals that they will be working with and or exposed to and how to properly handle them.
Hazard Communication Program and Chemical Safety. A hazardous substance is defined as any substance that is a physical hazard or a health hazard that is compressed gases, explosives, flammables, oxidizers, carcinogens, toxins, irritants, or corrosives. Hazardous substances generally have a safety data sheet, SDs, provided by the manufacturer. Although your job may or may not involve using chemicals, it is important for all employees to have a basic understanding of chemical safety and where to find information on the chemicals you may work around or with.
Chemical label requirements. All chemicals used or stored on the worksite must have a label. All labels must have the product identifier, supplier identification, precautionary statements, a signal word, hazard statements, and hazard pictograms if applicable at chemical. Chemical label requirements. All chemicals used or stored on the worksite must have a label. All labels must have the product identifier, supplier identification, precautionary statements, a signal word, hazard statements, and hazard pictograms if applicable at chemical. Hazard communications, SDS, chemical safety and labels. To ensure chemical safety in the workplace, information about the identities and hazard of the chemicals must be available and understandable to workers. OSHA Hazard Communication Standard, HCS, requires the development of such information. Chemical manufacturers and importers are required to prepare labels and safety data sheets to show the hazard information. All employers with hazardous chemicals in their workplace must have labels and safety data sheets for the exposed workers and train them to handle the chemicals appropriately.
Hazard communications, chemical safety, and labels. Major changes to the Hazard Communication Standard through the new Globally Harmonized System, GHS. Hazard classification provides specific criteria for classification of health and physical hazards, as well as classification of mixtures. Labels. Chemical manufacturers and importers will be required to provide a label that includes a harmonized signal word, pictogram, and hazard statement for each hazard class and category. Precautionary statements must also be provided. Safety data sheets will now have a specified 16-section format. Information and training. Employers are required to train workers on the new labels, elements, and safety data sheets format to facilitate recognition and understanding.
Lockout Tagout, LOTO, is the physical restraint of all hazardous energy sources that supply power to a piece of equipment, machinery, or system. LOTO also includes applying a warning tag on the physical restraint device. This documents the authorized LOTO personnel and the date. Proper lockout tagout. Practices and procedures safeguard workers from hazardous energy releases. Prevents serious injuries. Protects workers maintaining or servicing equipment. Lockout tagout procedures. The purpose of lockout tagout is to prevent energy from accidentally being released while a machine or equipment is being serviced. The ultimate goal of lockout tagout is to protect the safety and health of employees. The secondary goal is the protection of equipment from damage.
Lockout tagout, LOTO, lockout tagout, the placement of a lock tag on an energy isolating device in accordance with an established procedure to ensure that the energy isolating device and the equipment being controlled cannot be operated until the lock and tag is removed. In addition to tag lockout, the equipment must be blocked against motion and any residual energy removed. Lockout tagout, LOTO, the placement of a lock and tag on an isolating device which ensures that the equipment being controlled cannot be re-energized until the locking device is removed. What a typical lockout tagout looks like with a personal protection lock. Authorized employer, authorized employee, an individual who uses the lockout tagout verify procedures on a machine or a piece of equipment that is to be serviced or maintained. Affected employee, an individual whose job requires him/her to operate or use a machine or piece of equipment on which servicing or maintenance is being performed under the lockout tagout verify procedure. This also pertains to any employee whose job requires him/her to work in an area where servicing or maintenance is being performed. Until you become authorized to LOTO equipment, you are an affected employee. LOTO may affect the work you are doing, but you will not maintenance or work on the machine because you are not trained, you are not authorized.
Machine guards protect you and your coworkers. Common guarding methods: enclosure of guards, interlocking devices, remote control, electric safety devices, removable devices, moving barriers, two-handed tripping devices. Example of guards: interlock guard on corn cutter, interlock guard on roll makeup machine. So stick and block. As we can see on the picture, self-adjusting guard on radial arm saw has different elements: guard, blade, handle, anti-kickback fingers, circular blade, peripheral guard, radial arm, blade spindle, fence, table. Other examples of saw guards are adjustable guard on band saw, fixed guard on a band saw, adjustable guard on a horizontal band saw. Other types of guards: fixed guard on power press, fixed guard in closing belt and pulleys, interlock guard on picker machine. Do not operate any machinery, including saws, unless you have been trained to do so. Your role in safety. You play an important part in ensuring that guards do the job for which they were designed. Safe and productivity. It may appear that the machine guards interfere with your productivity. This is not an excuse to remove or modify a guard. Although a machine might work faster without a guard, you certainly won't if you injure yourself. Talk to your supervisor if you're worried about meeting production goals, or if you believe the guard should be changed to make it both safe and productive. Guards are designed to protect you. Let them do their job, and they'll help you do yours more safely.